Welcome to Owner Optional, the podcast for business owners who want companies that run without them. I'm James, your host. I've been a small business consultant all across the country for about 10 years now, and I've been a small business owner myself for about 20. Together, we break down how to build real businesses, not jobs, so that they can become assets that can grow, scale, be sold, and ultimately run without you. If you want freedom, leverage, and long-term value, you're in the right place. For more information, you can visit our website at lotuspe.us. That's lotuspe.us. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us. My name is James, and I'm here today with Nick Edwards. He is our CRO here at Lotus and Precision Auto Group. Our CRO is responsible for sales training, customer experience, workflow. And how you doing, Nick?
Good. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Good, man. Hey, we got a question today, and I want you to help me answer it. And so it's from a girl named Shannon. She says, hey, James, my name's Shannon. I own an auto repair shop here in Massachusetts that I recently took over from my family. When my dad stepped away, he kind of just left me with the shop, and I don't really have anyone to lean on now. I don't have a coach, and honestly, when I think about calling my dad with questions, it feels like I'm failing, so I don't. I know how to run the shop, I know how to run the front of the house, sell the work, and take care of customers, but I'm not a technician. Right now, I've only got 2 techs, and one of them is a higher level tech. I'm constantly dealing with misdiagnosis and jobs taking way longer than they should. The techs tell me it's normal, but in my gut, it doesn't feel normal. I feel like I need better techs and probably more techs, but no one seems to want to work, and hiring feels impossible. I met you at SEMA and found your advice really helpful, so I was hoping maybe you could give me some advice and some direction on what I should be focusing on. What do you think, Nick? Pretty common question.
Super common question. I think we see it a lot in today's industry of the business owner who is kind of aging out. They don't really know what to do with their business, so they just give it to their kid or their nephew or their cousin, someone who may have a little bit of automotive experience, but typically they don't have a ton of managerial experience. Maybe they're coming from a completely different field. Maybe they just got out of college. So it's a super, super common question and a super big constraint in handing businesses down. But I think with Shannon, she's already one step ahead because she's already identified the problem. Most people, I feel like, don't identify the problem. She notices she has a problem with hiring people. She knows she has an efficiency problem, and she knows she has a quality of work problem. So just the fact that she can identify those means she's already one step ahead.
Nick, as a manager, as a writer, as all of that, like, how does that feel when you have to put yourself out there with the customer and tell them, hey, this thing is wrong, and then something goes wrong like this with a misdiagnosis or a job taking way too long, especially?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the hardest part of the job is making terrible phone calls. We pick up the phone, and a lot of times people are in crisis, and we want to be able to alleviate them. We want to help them. We want to earn their trust. We want to earn their business, and we want to get their car back on the road in a timely manner so their car is safe to drive and they can get from point A to point B reliably. The worst call you can make is you pick up the phone after you've sold them an $1,000 job, and you go, hey, it wasn't the alternator. It's actually the starter. Now it's a $2,000 job. And immediately the first thing that comes out of the customer's mouth, well, you're paying for it, right?
What do you do when that happens?
So typically what I do in this situation is, I kind of take a step back. I kind of look at the big picture. Was it actually a misdiagnosis, right? Or did they find a part that was bad that was creating a problem, and the problem that was being fixed was fixed by that problem, but now there's another problem? Is that the scenario, or was it a completely misdiagnosis of, like, let's say there's a grinding sound and you sold brakes and the pads were at, for 30 seconds, 30, 40%, but it turns out it was the CV axle grinding. In the first scenario where you identified a bad part and you fixed the bad part, that's a much easier conversation to have because that's very simple. Hey, we did the alternator. There's still a little bit of a issue. We can go ahead and get it fixed. It's a little bit better than it was when it came in here. If you want it 100%, we can go ahead and get this done. And listen, because you're here and because, we told you we were going to fix it and now we have to add more stuff, I'll take 10% off the top. You give them something to where they feel like they're getting something from you. In the scenario 2, that's kind of like worst case scenario, disaster scenario, where you've completely misdiagnosed the car. That's when you kind of have to look into maybe comping whatever you did first, or maybe comping the new job, whatever. Typically, I go with whatever's cheaper, or I credit it towards the work, stuff like that. What I find, though, is when you have a misdiagnosis, it's due to lack of communication. So I challenge everybody listening to this to kind of look inward. Instead of just saying my techs are misdiagnosing stuff, you should look at what you're doing as an advisor. Are you communicating the problem to them effectively? If it's a noise, are you having them take a ride with the customer so the customer can point out the noise? If it's a check engine light, are you setting yourself up to succeed by saying, hey, you got 4 or 5 codes, I know what 1 or 2 of them, or are you just saying, hey, you need this, it's going to fix all 5 codes in your check engine light? That's kind of when you have to look at the big picture, step back, and really not just say my techs are misdiagnosing things, but how can I be a part of the solution?
That's great, man. Yeah, I totally agree with actually all of that. Not actually, but I mean, I totally agree with all of that. Same page. Shannon, what I would recommend is first thing is you should get a coach. If you are running an auto repair shop and you don't have experience in the field, even if you do, you should get a coach, because they give you all of the lessons and everything that they need, but you don't have to take the hits that they took to be able to know all of those valuable lessons that they're teaching you. And so the second thing is that what you're saying definitely doesn't fully make sense. A good, solid technician will always make mistakes. We all make mistakes. It happens, but it should not be commonplace. And what we typically find when working with a newer shop that is having issues with technicians is that they're terrified to fire a technician, or terrified to set the expectation and then the consequence of missing that expectation, because we live in the world of expectation and consequence. I expect this of you, or this will happen, right? At any level, all of the time, in a personal, professional, marital, whatever relationship. Hey, look, I expect you to be a good person. And if you do, I'll keep being your friend. If not, I'm not going to be your friend. In this case, I expect you to be a good technician and be honest and follow these certain KPIs, produce this, no second calls, no. And if you don't know what a second call is, it's like if we check out a vehicle, we call the customer, and then later on it ends up being something different. A very common one that I've used on this show before is like, if we check out, we remove wheels to check brakes, and we do a full brake inspection, tech says it just needs pads and rotors, and then later it needs calipers too. Tech didn't check that job out properly, and that's a very difficult conversation to have with the customer. We will typically, from the shop standpoint, eat that, meaning we'll inherit the cost of whatever the additional stuff is because we didn't find it. And so what you're saying just doesn't make full sense, right? And so if you need techs, I don't join that negative argument, because I used to have that all the time. I'd be like, well, everybody else can't hire techs. I can't either, right? Everybody else is slow. I must be slow too. This is always an area of opportunity. When everybody is screaming about the same problem, it's the people that know that there is a problem, and so they're going to look for an outside solution. Those are going to be the people standing. Somebody once told me that, and I tell you, I live by that. The way our company is structured is based on that. And so I can tell you that many years ago, we used to have issues hiring technicians, and we just don't now. And the reason being is, one, when you are getting ready to have a party, you clean your house before you have people come over, right, Nick?
Yep.
You know, and so you
100%.
want to make sure that everything is all set in your house. You want to make sure that your tools are good, your shop is clean, everything's organized. And the next thing is that your systems are in place, because it makes no sense to hire if you can't retain, right? Like otherwise you're just churning. You hire one, you lose one. And sometimes you have to lose one, but in this case, you don't want to lose them for the wrong reasons. You want to make sure that you're building your team all the time. The way that we build our team all the time is we are in the people business. We are not in the auto repair business. We are in the business of attracting customers to us all the time. We are in the business of bringing vendors to us all the time. And we are in the business of looking for technicians all of the time, including writers, managers, anything. It's just like a football team or a baseball team. You want to make sure that you are constantly looking for the best all-stars to put on your team, and you will find room for them wherever you need to. They are not an expense at all. And, that'll be a common thing that people say, well, I just can't afford it. No. Good people, one, they'll free you up and you're buying your time back. And two, they'll help you produce more by creating a better customer experience. It's very common.
Yeah. And I think to just kind of piggyback off that, you kind of have to ask yourself internally, why are you hiring? Like, why do you need another tech? Are you getting another tech because your 2 techs that you have right now aren't doing the job correctly? So are you hiring to fire? Or are you hiring because your car count demands more technicians? I think a lot of people hire to fire. You know, they realize they have a problem with one of their technicians and they go out looking. And like when you do that, you can go into that interview, but you know, you can reek of desperation when you're doing that. You know, you bring the technician in, you're like very antsy in the interview, you're ready to go. You're like basically offering him the job before he walks in because you're so antsy to fire your technician. But instead of doing that, what I challenge people to do is have a sit down with your technicians who are underperforming. I find that a lot of people don't communicate well with their technicians because they're so focused on the boss-employee boundaries and relationships. So they're very like, did you do this? Why didn't you do this? Okay, goodbye. You know, but instead sit them down. Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?
We want to make sure that our team has, right? So we hire based on attitude, aptitude, and ethics. And then from there, we give them the time, tools, training, and accountability. And so if it's a situation where we're thinking about hiring, the first things that we're going to look at are productivity and efficiency. We want to make sure that we are at least 80% productive, that they're producing work 80% of the time that they're here at least, which is a low bar, and that they are at least 80% efficient, meaning in the time that we are billing the customer that, you know, they're not taking 2 hours for a 1 hour job, you know? And so as long as we are on that same page and there's no room to trim any fat, then we have the conversation about hiring. And then from there, if we bring people in and they're not doing what we need them to do, we sit them down and we have a conversation. We say, hey, look, Nick, in theory, right? Nick, you're not productive, man, like, or you're not efficient, whatever it would be, right? Like, what's going on with that? Help me understand it. Well, you know, I'm not working on these cars. I'm not productive because we don't have enough cars. Perfect. Great. So now let's solve that problem, right? We send them over to Devin, the marketing team, and from there, they'll find a way to get more cars in, right? Okay. Now you have more cars. Now why can't you? Well, I don't have a lift, or this lift is broken, or I don't have the equipment, or something like that. If it is also training, well, I don't know how to fix the thing, you know, and so I'm chasing my tail, then that's another thing. But we can't expect them, we cannot hold them accountable unless we have done all 3 of those things first. We have given them the time, the tools, and the training to be successful. Then we can hold them accountable.
And what I find in a lot of service managers who I've met with over the years is instead of asking the open-ended questions of what's going on, how are you, they quickly jump to the comparison game. They'll say, hey, James, have a seat. Hey, you know, it took you 10 hours to do 6 hours of work, but Nick over there, he did 11 hours in 10 hours. Do you know why that is? Like immediately now it's hostile. You're putting your employees against each other. For all you know, he could have sprained his wrist playing hockey last night, and that's why he's slower. But he's not going to tell you that now because he knows you're comparing him. So I think we really have to use empathy to kind of get out of these situations. So in Shannon's case, what I would do is I would sit down both technicians, you know, privately. What's going on? How can we, you know, not me, you, we make the shop better? We are having a lot of issues. The second you say you are having a lot of issues, it quickly becomes, okay, well, you are too. You know, it very quickly becomes hostile. So everything needs to be phrased in open-ended questions and we. How can we make sure we have less comebacks? How can we make sure that we're running more efficiently? We call it taking away their nose. So the first thing to do is identify their nose. How can we get better by 1% today? And they'll say, oh, well, we can do this. Okay, let's do that. Instead of being like, how can you get better? They're going to be, if you say that, they're just going to say, F you, man, like you get better.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the technicians that we begin to interview at shops as we're going through due diligence, because that's one of the parts of what we do. We want to talk to the staff because that's really where a lot of the value is. And when we're talking to them, a lot of them feel that they don't have the things that they need, or they don't have direction, or they don't have, like there's just no growth there. They feel like there's just no one really cares, and so they don't care, and they want to feel that sense of ownership. They want to feel like they belong.
And that's because a lot of managers don't really like look at their jobs from a outside perspective. At the end of the day, like you have to look at it this way. These technicians are in the heat, they're in the cold, they're in the rain, they're in the snow, they're turning wrenches, manual labor all day while you're sitting in the office. Both of you guys drive revenue. But from an optics standpoint, it looks like one person does all the work and the other person's just organizing. So I think you got to take that mindset and like try to bring everything down to a level playing field and realize like these guys work hard in tough conditions. So you need to give them some grace and you need to figure out what their no's are and how you can solve their problems together as a team.
That's another great point, man. The other thing too that's really cool is like not everybody is meant to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Some people hit home runs. Some people are really fast at running to base, you know, and so us as managers and owners have to do a better job of recognizing what their natural strengths are and what their natural weaknesses are. When I was a tech, I remember the guy I learned from, he was like, everybody should be good at everything. Well, that's just simply not true, you know, and that's why at the front of the buildings, we have people that are good at marketing and good at sales and good at organization and things like that. You've got different people that fit different roles. And the best way to make sure that you always have the right people in the right roles is through regular conversation, but it's also through regular recruiting. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, we're in the people business. And so if we are looking for customers and we advertise a bunch today, somebody may not have a broken car today, but we need to consistently market over time because we need to hit the right message with the right customer at the right time, and then we get them in. You're just consistently doing it, consistency over time. Same thing when we're trying to attract technicians or front of house or whoever to us. We're looking for talent, vendors, all of it. You need to be looking all of the time. This is not something that you want to do when you need a technician because, like Nick said, you're going to be looking from that scarcity mindset instead of an abundance mindset. And the scarcity mindset is such, to make it even more basic, it's like, how do I not go broke today?
Yep.
Right? How do I make sure that I just don't go broke and I meet payroll? And that is a dangerous mindset. It's a scary one. It's one that you don't sleep, you don't feel good. Where the abundance mindset is like, all right, how do I hit my goals? And so how you assimilate that to this, it's like, all right, well, I need a tech and I've got to hire whoever's available today. This guy has experience. I'm going to bring him in. And now we're not necessarily hiring based on attitude, aptitude, and ethics. We've already destroyed our hiring system. And so if we constantly have a warm bullpen of people that we're looking for, that we can bring into our team and make sure that we're building our team and advancing our team and creating a better work environment, we're creating just a better customer experience, a better product, obviously, all of that, then we're hiring from an abundance mindset. We're looking for those people all the time. We have that bullpen and we're able to select and interview and really kind of build that team rather than just build from that scarcity mindset, because you're not building from the scarcity mindset. That is when people hire in that scarcity mindset, that's when they get the opinion that they're like, oh, this guy will leave me for $1. Well, it's because you hired the wrong guy to begin with. Your girl, you know, in any case, you know, and so you really want to make sure that you keep that bullpen warm, just like you do with customers, keep it warm with vendors, keep it warm with staff, and you really will not have this problem. But like the time to hire, the time to look for a customer is not when you don't have one, because then when it's a customer, you're going to have to run low dollar oil change specials, and you're going to get customers that maybe don't appreciate the quality of work and the amenities that you provide. You know? So
if you were Shannon's coach, what is the first thing you would tell her to do?
I would tell her to get a coach. So, you know, obviously she doesn't have one, but I would tell her to get a coach right away. The second thing that I would do is I would tell her to get some ads out there right away. And if I'm her coach, we obviously have a staffing arm that works with us. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what Devin does with Northbound Media. And so from there, we would get her on a plan to have ads out on all major platforms all the time. And then Devin and her team just continuously refresh those ads all the time so that we're constantly looking for people. That would be the first thing today, right now. The second thing simultaneously is I would say we need a shop visit. Yeah. Right? We need a shop visit. And so let's see what's going on in that shop and see what's actually happening, because our team is very experienced. I mean, I've been working on cars for 30 years, you know? And so we would go out there and we would see kind of what's going on. And sometimes what happens is, and this is terrible to say, but like sometimes they don't respond, the techs don't respond to the successor that doesn't have the experience in the shop, which is unfortunate, you know, because a good tech is really a type A person, you know, and they're not going to respond well to somebody in the office that maybe they view as like, well, they just got the company, you know? And so we go in there and kind of act as an intermediary and help her understand, hey, this is what they're going through, because maybe she doesn't see it because she doesn't know, she hasn't had to do it. And maybe there is a problem there with them, but we can help kind of mediate that situation, and we could see things that maybe they're missing or they don't have that's not allowing them to do the job. The misdiagnosis may be because they have a $100 AutoZone scanner.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? And now they need something a little bit bigger and more powerful to work on the cars that she's bringing in.
Or like we've seen before, people misidentify their technicians. They think they have a high-level guy and a low-level guy when really the low-level guy, intelligent as hell, knows how to diag cars. He's just not as fast. That's why he's the low-level. And the high-level guy is just a repair guy.
Yeah.
So maybe she can flip him.
Yeah.
You know?
We would do a shop visit.
Oh, yeah.
100%, especially if there was like some type of a big issue like this and we saw that productivity, efficiency, quality, all of that is slipping. 100% shop visit all day long. And then from there, it's all about just having good conversation with good people, you know, and figuring out what they need, how they need it, what we can do, and how we can insert our team to make sure that
identify the nose, take away the nose.
That's away the nose. Yeah, take away the nose. Nick, I don't really have much else, man. I think we hit it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really appreciate you guys listening. If you have questions, if you're stuck like Shannon, just reach right out to us. You can go to our website, lotuspe.us, and just submit a question there. You can email us, you can text, call, carrier pigeon, whatever works for you. But we're here to help. And
can't wait to answer more questions.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Nick.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to Owner Optional. If you want to learn more how we help shop owners build businesses that don't depend on them, visit lotuspe.us. That's lotuspe.us. We'll see you in the next episode, and thank you so much for listening.